Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. This is normally how my morning looks. Glasses halfway on my head, hat about cocked out on my head. Got here, nothing was rigged. I had like 5 rods out of the boat, but we are here and it is absolutely probably one of the most beautiful days that we have had yet. And what is funny is today is the first day of September and like fall has just kissed East Tennessee. Now, I don't think this is gonna last very long, but regardless if it lasts very long or not, we are here. We're gonna have some fun. We're out in the boat today. This is actually not my first day in the boat, it's my second day in the boat. First day in the boat, I just come out here and enjoyed it by myself, didn't bring any cameras. But you guys are gonna hang out with me today, second day in the boat. And we're gonna do a little bit of flipping. We're down here in the river, gonna do some flipping, gonna do some pitching, gonna do all the things I like to do. We're gonna try to catch some fish, and that is what we're doing today. And I'm glad you guys clicked on this video, and without further ado, let's get after it. So I know a lot of you struggle with throwing the jig, but I can promise you, once you figure this bait out, it's probably one of the most effective, not only bite getters, but big fish catchers that you can have in your arsenal. So today I wanna give you guys some tips on fishing the jig, things that I've learned over the years that has just turned this bait for me into a staple into the boat, literally a bait that I have a rod and reel dedicated to, and a bait that I feel like I can take essentially anywhere in the country and get some bites. And so that's what today's video is going to be about, is just tips on fishing the jig so that you guys can get some more confidence in it, go out and catch some fish. buddy. He's hungry, wasn't you? Appreciate it. You have to get bigger, but appreciate it. It's got another bite. Missed it, ripped my claw off. So let me show you here what we're doing. This is something you guys have seen before, probably won't be a surprise. But behind those claws, a little bit of chartreuse. I think that is the key to getting these bites. Just remember, this crap comes off of nothing. So be very careful with it as I drop it in the floor and get it on my skin. But yeah, it'll come off your skin. I think it's because eventually your skin just falls off. But yeah, so little chigger crawl, 3-inch pumpkin, green flake, chartreuse. That's the juice. That's a good one. There's a good one. Heck yeah. It's a solid little chunky. Heck yeah. A little chunky dunky. That's a pretty little fish. Just healthy, man. Makes me happy to see a bass that healthy in here. Heck yeah, bud. Thanks, man. Stroked jig. Flip that thing in there. I watch my line go whoop. It's fun. That was fun. That was fun. Heck yeah. Aggressive little buddy. Aggressive. Alright guys, so my first tip for fishing the jig is start heavy. I throw almost exclusively a 1/2 ounce jig. I flip almost exclusively a 1/2 ounce jig. There are times that I'll drop down to 3/8 if it's really shallow, really rocky, and I'm having trouble getting it out of there. But for the most part, I throw that 1/2 ounce jig. Now the reason I'm telling you guys to throw a 1/2 ounce jig is because the number one thing that I hear from people about fishing a jig is I can't feel that jig. I have a hard time feeling the jig. I have a hard time feeling the bite. And the thing that I have found is the heavier the jig, the more that you're going to be able to actually feel that jig and feel that bite. And so go with a little bit heavier jig than you think that you need. Really, 1/2 ounce is probably going to be kind of that sweet spot. 3/4 is a really big jig. 3/8, again, it's a little light. 1/2 ounce is really the key that I've found to being able to feel that bite. The second thing that I've got for feeling the bite is use heavy fluoro. I use a 20-pound fluorocarbon, not only to feel the bite, but to wrench them out of the cover as well. I mean, you guys have seen this morning already, I've pulled a couple out of some really sticky spots, and so that heavier fluorocarbon helps in those situations. But that heavier fluorocarbon with just a little bit more diameter, not only is going to translate the bite more into your rod, but help you to get those fish out of there. And really, that's my two biggest tips for being able to feel the bite on a jig. So many people struggle with that aspect of jig fishing, and for me, I have found that those two things really help beginners and people that might not have fished a jig a whole ton to be able to actually feel the jig, feel what that jig is doing, and be able to get a bite on it. Yep, another one. I mean, TDC. Thanks, bud. So you just saw me pick out that backlash. This is not a jig tip, but it is a fishing tip. I want to show you something really simple about your fishing reels, and this is a feature that I just don't think a lot of people understand what the knobs and things do on their fishing reel. This right here is part of your braking system. So I had it 2 clicks back that direction, and you guys saw I was trying to skip this thing in the wind and couldn't skip it. Clicked it twice over, and it has cleared up that issue with the reel overrunning. And so slight adjustments to your reels can make all the difference in the world. A lot of people want to go straight to their tension knob, and in my experience, the tension knob isn't the best thing. We use that external braking system, that external knob, and that seems to me to be the best way to get the most out of your reel when you're casting in the wind and you're trying to keep it from backlashing. Is just use that external braking system. Quick release. Well, literally the very next cast, guys, I catch another one. Heck yeah. That's funny. And I mean, stroked it. All right, little bitty dude, but fun. All right, so let me talk about tip number 2 when it comes to to fishing a jig, and that is picking the right trailer. So it's a really simple process for me. Water 60 degrees or more, I'm gonna go with something like a chigger crawl that has those kicking legs. It has action when it's falling through the water. And water that is 60 degrees or lower, I'm gonna go with something like a meaty chunk, which has no action. It's just gonna fall straight through the water. You'll get a little bit of kick when you actually impart the action upon it, but it doesn't do anything on its own. And that is as simple as it gets on how I pick trailers for my jigs. And I really believe that having the correct trailer on the back of your jig can make all the difference in the world in whether you catch a fish or not. And so make sure you're picking the right trailer. Now there's so many different trailers that you can use. I myself, my favorite jig trailer is a 3-inch chigger crawl by Berkley. But like I said, there's so many different trailers that you can use out there. But I think the rule of thumb is as simple as when it is water 60 degrees or cooler, you're going to use something that does not kick. And when the water is 60 degrees or warmer, you're going to use something that kicks. And like today's water temperature is 73 to 75 degrees. I've got a bunch of very active fish up here who are willing to eat. They're focused in on bluegills. And I think that that little presentation right there, even though that is a chigger crawl, does a really good job of representing a bluegill. And so yeah, keep that in mind when you are fishing a jig, when you're picking your trailers, when you're trying to figure out what your jig is going to look like. You want to make sure that you're getting the right trailer. Now the last tip in this video is probably the most important one, so stick around for that one, because that tip seriously can make the difference between catching a lot of fish on the jig and not. Well, boys and girls, it's going good so far this morning. We've got some bites, we've put some fish in the boat. I've shared 2 tips with you guys, and like I said, I've got a 3rd. But right now we're going to make a quick move. We're going to move a little bit further down the lake. We're going to go fish a few spots. This water has got muddier as I've been here. There must have been some rain. I believe there was some rain in a different part of the state that has pushed some muddy water down into here. And so as we fished up in here, it's got a little bit muddier, and I just don't like the clarity as much as I did when we started. And so we're gonna run out, gonna go find a little bit clearer water, gonna go fish some different looking stuff and just see if we can put a few more fish into the boat. But so far today, it has been a fun day flipping the jig. It's one of my favorite ways to catch fish. And so now we're gonna go see if we can do it about, I don't know, 10 more times would be great. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're gonna make a move real quick, and we will see you guys when we get there. There we go. Spotted bass. Huh. That's funny. A little spotted bass. Thanks, buddy. A little bitty. Is that a smallmouth? Is that a smallmouth? No? No, just a little bitty beautiful largemouth. Actually, no, that's a little largemouth. Thanks, buddy. A little bitty guy. This is weird. You guys may know where I'm at. If you're local watching this video, you probably know exactly where I'm at. But this tree right here, that's a mimosa tree. And that mimosa tree has been here for my entire life. It has been something that me and my dad would come fish because there was always a fish under the mimosa tree, and they have cut the mimosa tree down. And I don't know, this is something, I was just talking to Bethany about it. There's been some just really strange things since Dad has passed, and it's almost like it was the end of an era or an age, you know, the end of a season. And it just weird things like this mimosa tree. Like, you know, Dad's gone, this memory that we made around this thing is now gone with him. And it's not like it's bad, like it's like it's a good thing. It's like it's the end of an age, the end of a season. And it's almost like God's just telling me, like, hey, you know, it's the end of this season and everything is gonna be okay, and Dad's okay. And you know, I don't know, guys, it's weird. I'm not the best, Jesus follower in the whole entire world. If anything, I'm a lot like Peter. And Peter used to say, I do the things that I don't want to do, even though I know that they're wrong. And I don't do the things that I know that are right to do. And I do that, you know. And so I just want you guys to know that that train is being driven by the devil, and he doesn't want you to hear this. And that, you know, I don't know, guys. It's I just want you to know Jesus loves you, that I love you, that everything's gonna be all right. This has been a hard season for me. There's been a lot of hard things happen to me over this past few months here, and I just want you guys to know that it's gonna be all right. That whatever you guys are going through, Jesus loves you. You can fall back on him. He's gonna take care of you. And yeah, you guys are awesome. Appreciate you watching these videos. I just thought that that was something, it's one of those weird things. Thought I needed to share it. There we go. That was awesome. I watched him follow that thing out. A little dude, but it's fun. He's fun. He's fun. But that's what I was about to say. But what? There we go. That's a little bit better one. Hey there, bud. Yeah, you're over there in that shade line, aren't you? Eating the bluegill or two. Thanks, man. All right, guys, so let's talk about what I believe is the most important part of fishing a jig. So you can have the right jig, you can have the right brand, you can do the right trailer, you can do everything with the jig the right way, but the size, I think, is the most pivotal part of the jig. So many people want to take their jig, this is a brand new Berkley flipping jig, they want to take it right out of the package and they want to fish it just like that. Well, here's the deal. There's way too much skirt material on this jig. There's way, just too big overall. And I think that's the biggest thing when you're starting to learn how to fish a jig. You're new to jig fishing, people go and they get the biggest, baddest flipping jig that they got, and they put a full-size trailer on the back, and that just doesn't work. And so I'm going to show you guys how I trim my jig that make sure that I still get the big jig bite that I'm looking for, but also make sure I get a ton of bites as well. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to trim that skirt right even with the bottom of the bend of that hook. So what I do is I literally pinch the bottom of the bend of that hook, and I trim that skirt material all the way up to the bend of that hook. And now you guys can see that jig is a heck of a lot more compact than it just was. The next thing that I do is I fish a smaller trailer. So many people want to fish a full-size creature bait on the back of their jig, and here's the deal, that can definitely work. I definitely think that there's a time and a place for all of that, but for me, I like to fish a little small compact trailer. And like I said earlier in the video, picking my trailer, I go by water temperature, but when I'm picking my trailer, I also go by size. And so this is a 3-inch chicker crawl. Now you can use a normal chicker crawl as well, that's fine, but what I do is I just trim it down just a little bit, because I think that a more compact jig is going to get a lot more bites, it's going to put more fish into the boat, and you still have the added benefit of flipping a jig where you're going to catch some really big fish. And just like that, we make a nice little compact morsel of a bluegill looking thing that these bass will absolutely annihilate. And so I think that's the most important part of fishing a jig. If you're new to fishing a jig, if you're looking to get bites on a jig, don't go with a full-size giant jig with a full-size trailer on the back. Go compact at first, and honestly, you'll probably stick with compact, because that, even for me, has been the most success that I've had on a jig. And here's the deal, like I said, there are times and there are places for the big jig, but I think for most scenarios, for most anglers, if you're looking to get bites, if you're looking to get confidence in the jig, trim that jig up, go with that smaller trailer, go with just an overall smaller profile, and you're going to put more fish into the boat. Guys, I'm so glad that you clicked on this video today. I really appreciate you watching it. Hopefully you're coming away from this video with some tips that you can go use on the water right now to catch more fish on a jig. Go down in the comment section and let me know what you thought about this video. Come back to this video and leave a comment if these tips helped you, and make sure to go down in the description and check out all the links that I have. It'll be links to all the gear that I used in this video. But yeah, guys, as always, you guys are sweet, and thank you for watching.